Let's talk about the disaster training coming up on May 11th. I know this is something that the Salvation Army is widely known for, among other things that the Salvation Army is widely known for. But let's talk about this. What will be happening on that day?
Yeah, on May 11th from 9 to 1:30, we're going to be hosting a training. It is open to the community. There is a registration link that is needed, though, to join the class, as we cap the class at around 20 people. But the great thing is we'll be looking at how do we respond to a local disaster if something strikes our area, such as a flood, tornado. I know we had a pretty active season last year where we responded to a tornado in May. And a few years before that, we had that really big flood in the river valley. So just trying to make sure that we have a really good local team of volunteers ready to respond. Lord forbid something happen in our area.
All right, so who can come out to this? Who are you looking for to be there?
It's really just anybody who has available time. There really isn't any kind of certifications or qualifications needed other than passing a background check. That is a requirement because we do work with vulnerable populations such as the elderly and kids. So you would have to pass a background check. And the second thing really is you would need to get a food handler certification. Now we pay for that, which is kind of cool. So all we really need is your time. So we would send you off to food certification class, get you all trained up there, get your certificate. And the cool thing is this is really just kind of an introduction class looking to kind of gauge involvement in the community. There's additional trainings that people can go for. And maybe the unknown thing is a lot of people don't know the Salvation Army pays totally out of its pocket for this kind of thing. So we've had donors that donated years ago that they want all of their funds used specifically for disaster preparation. So it's not going to come out of a general operating budget. It's not going to we're not taking out of the utility assistance budget to do this kind of thing, but it's actually a set aside restricted fund that we can use to train people locally.
So after the training, these folks they become volunteers, or at least the reach out of the Salvation Army.
They do. You literally put on a Salvation Army disaster vest and you get credentialed, and you can literally join people right in a disaster site, which is kind of crazy to think about it. So you're sometimes standing shoulder to shoulder with FEMA or the American Red Cross or the Disaster Baptist Men. And a lot of times, a lot of people ask, well, what is the Salvation Army's role in disaster?
Right.
And that really is mass feeding, which I will tell you, the Salvation Army is always dearly loved on disaster because we're the group that feeds people. And so typically, if you show up with food, people like you pretty well. And the secondary thing is we also, unique to us, provide spiritual care, which is a little bit different maybe than some. And so it's not uncommon to stand with a family in front of their home that used to be there and pray for that family and encourage them and try to give them resources to help them get kind of navigate either FEMA or the disaster volunteers through the Arkansas VOAD. So there's kind of a lot to do there. But the other kind of thing that is kind of unique about this, so if there's anybody watching this that maybe is involved with a disaster company, let's say like Save Pro or some of these others that restore homes afterwards, you also can almost have like a double shot at helping people, that you can utilize your professional skills as well as maybe helping some local nonprofits along the way too. So
you mentioned the food aspect of this and handing out food. That's why you have to have that food handler certificate.
That's true. Now it's not required. We do have some groups that all they go out and do is spiritual care. They're assigned on a spiritual care team. They're not providing food, but I will say 85% of what the Salvation Army does in disaster is food preparation. We do have a mobile kitchen assigned to Fort Smith. So we have our own local truck. We'll do a training later probably later in July, and actually do a mock training actually on our truck where people will be able to go through, look at the material that they would be handling, and feel pretty good about that. The last thing we want is people going out and feeling inadequate or like they don't know how to use equipment. And so it's really just going to be a good time. I know currently right now we have 11 signed up for the class, so we have about 8 more slots we have before we fill up our class. So just trying to get our last 8 slots filled.
Can you tell us what kind of need there is for these volunteers?
Yeah, I know, just to be very frank, volunteerism has been really tough the last 2 years. COVID made that really tough for us. And so What volunteers allow us to do is they allow us to not have to pull staff that's running social services or other programs. Because unfortunately, what's happened the last couple of disasters is they've had to pull professional staff. So that means that while we're helping on disaster, which is great, we're not down at the social service office, maybe being available for emergency food or things like that. And so we get really stretched real thin in disaster. So it would allow us to be able to still serve on two fronts instead of just having to pull everybody off one front and run to another. And then really the last need we had is just, we're really hoping that this leads to not only maybe disaster, but to other things as well. A lot of people really know the Salvation Army is, we see you guys at Christmas time, you guys ring bells. We almost can't escape you guys. You're at every store. And the other thing we also see is, well, you guys have some family stores locally, and I like to donate some items there. But sometimes outside of that, people really don't have a good understanding of what the Salvation Army does. They know they like it, they know they're trustworthy, but they might not necessarily know what they do locally throughout the year. And so this would be another entry point where people could get involved in the Army. We always say the Salvation Army is not the people in uniform. The army of people is our volunteers, and they're the ones that go out and make a difference and make our community a better place. And we just kind of try to recruit people and kind of meet them up with the needs in the community. And so the one thing that's really kind of cool about Fort Smith specifically is, a lot of people don't know this. Me and my wife actually were sent to the Salvation Army training school from Fort Smith 10 years ago. And we've been reassigned back here 10 years later. And I will say, the one thing I love about living here is if you ask for something in the River Valley, it has a way of showing up. So I know if we kind of put this class out there, ask people to come, they will, and they'll be active and involved. And that's really exciting for me to watch.
Guess we need to say where it's going to be on May 11th.
Yeah, it's going to be over at the United Way office. And so I know they got a great room over there. We are providing lunch. So if you do decide to come out, do not bring lunch. We're providing it. And so what's better than a free training, a free meal, and good fellowship? So we're just looking forward to a good couple hours. Our instructor that's going to be out there, her name's Lori Freed. She actually is our disaster coordinator for the entire Arkansas and Oklahoma area. She formerly used to work for the Red Cross, and before that, she used to work for FEMA. So she has a really good background in disaster response, and it comes with many years of service. In fact, actually last year, she was featured as the top instructor in Oklahoma. So she's a stellar lady, bringing lots of wisdom and experience to our class. And we're really glad we can steal her from Oklahoma City for a day and come out and teach us in the River Valley.
You know, and on the website or on your Facebook page, Salvation Army of Fort Smith, there is a link to register for this.
That's right. Yeah. What you'll do is you'll just go to the national site. You'll click the train button, and then that'll take you to an area where you can choose your class. So all you do is click into Arkansas, and we're the only class in Arkansas. Okay. So you'll see us there. You'll hit register and put in all your information, and you'll be good to go. And you'll get a confirmation email after all of it.
All right, Captain Bradley Hargis, thank you so much for joining us, man. I hope you fill up that class and get a lot of really good volunteers.
Thank you very much.